بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا سبحانه وتعالى ويرضاه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Tonight we're going to do question and answers. Let's see how many questions we have, if we have any questions, and if not, alhamdulillah, and perhaps we'll read something that will benefit our minds, our souls, and last but not least, our bodies, by Allah, the Exalted's permission. So let's look what we have online. Akhi Jamil.
SS from Portsmouth. When I pray Fard's prayer, Allah, should I speak aloud like an imam would do in certain parts of prayer?
Question from SS from Portsmouth. Type. When I'm praying by myself, should I recite out loud like the imam does in certain parts of the salah, or just remain silent, etc.? We say is that the Prophet ﷺ, he informed the companions to pray as he prayed. And the authentic hadith in Sahih Bukhari narrated Malik ibn al-Huwayrith radiyallahu anhu, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he was visited by approximately 20 youth, perhaps maybe 20 of them. And they stayed with the Prophet ﷺ, and it was a group of youth, al-Muhim. That's what we know for sure. It was a group of youth. We'll say that for now. And they stayed with him for some days, perhaps maybe less than a month. And the Prophet ﷺ was gentle, he was kind, he was a great teacher. And he says that when the Prophet ﷺ saw that we missed our families, we missed our mothers, our fathers, wives, children, he says, go back to your people and teach them. He says, go back to your family and teach your family. Stay with them and teach them. وَصَلُّوا كَمَا رَأَيْتُمُونِي أُصَلِّي. A very important part of this hadith that many people they forget about and they don't mention is that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he didn't just say pray as you see me pray. There's a context in the hadith. And it's many fawaid, tarbawiyya, fiqhiyya, all types of different rulings and benefits that are taken from the context of this statement. Pray like you see me praying. Traveling to seek hadith, first and foremost. The importance of teaching with statement and action, combining between both methods. Physically teaching, verbally teaching. Naam. The importance of being merciful, the importance of being kind, and the importance for the teacher to be mindful of the state of the student. And that there's nothing wrong with becoming homesick. It's nothing wrong with becoming homesick. That's natural. The Prophet, he did not say anything ill towards them. You're with me. Why you miss your family members? Also, seeking knowledge, seeking hadith is something that's natural. And nothing about it is unnatural. It isn't something that's out of the ordinary way of life. He's a human being. He misses his family. Everybody clear on this? The Prophet ﷺ, he didn't say, why do you want to go back? You're with the Rasul of Allah, Rabbil Alameen. He says, go back to your family. It's all right. And the list goes on. We can do a whole lecture just off this one hadith. What's important is they observed the Rasul ﷺ salah for days, for nights. It wasn't just one day, one night that they saw him praying, as we have in other narrations. But that's a long lecture in itself. Al-Muhim is the Prophet, he said these words, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. He said, pray like you see me praying. So therefore, whatever the Prophet did in the salah, then that's what you should do in the salah. If you're the imam, it's clear and that's obvious. If you're praying by yourself, that's clear and that's obvious. If you're praying behind the imam, that's also clear and that's also obvious, according to what you should and shouldn't do as someone who's following. Reciting out loud, contesting with the imam, one before the imam, etc. So when you pray by yourself, Salat al-Maghrib, first 2 rak'ah, recite out loud. Salat al-Isha, first 2 rak'ah, recite out loud. Even though you're by yourself, you're in your home, you're far from the masjid. And this isn't something that is exclusive to jama'ah. It isn't exclusive to the jami', to the masjid. Rather, it falls under the generality of the Prophet's statement, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. So therefore, when you pray by yourself, read out loud. And when it's time to read silently, even though you're by yourself and you're not in the congregation. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
From London. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Not really a question, but I just wanted to ask if we could hear some recitation from yourself.
Tayyib. As far as the disciple or the disciplate from London, may Allah bless our brothers in the UK, Ameen, and our sisters in the UK as well. There are many reciters that are, you can download their recitation of the Quran for free, easily, simply. There's no need to hear me recite the Quran. People Light years, as we said. Not ahead, but what? Light years. Okay, in the beauty of one's voice. I don't consider myself at all to have a beautiful voice, let alone in just the perfection and the mastery of the actual rules of the recitation of the Quran, let alone someone being a expert, a mutqin, someone who's actually mutqin, who has a high level of skill and extreme proficiency in reciting the Quran. So I would humbly deny this request. But for argument's sake, I didn't ask about this Mukri, I didn't ask about this Qari, I asked you. For argument's sake, the best thing to do is to go online and perhaps find a lecture or a khutbah in which we forgot to turn off the recorder, and you can hear my recitation. May Allah help me and help all of us. I mean. Huh? Come on, Akhi. Oh, Akhi, watch it, Akhi. We're getting on the train together back to Queens. Nah, don't tell them that. They got to search for that one. Tayyib.
Assalamu alaikum, MC, New Jersey. If someone is carrying the baby while praying and the baby is asleep and they carry her and they can't put both hands on the ground and sujood or both hands on their knees, is this okay?
Tayyib. Question from MC from New Jersey. Someone is carrying a baby. The baby falls asleep due to the gentle nature of holding the baby, especially when the baby is asleep. Some of the positions in the salah are not normally completed. Hands on the ground, hands on the knees, etc. We say the Prophet ﷺ, he did two things. Two things that he did. The first thing that he did is that he told us to pray like he prayed, as we just explained. And the second thing that he did, he prayed holding a young child, holding an infant. So it's just that simple. So pray like you saw the Prophet ﷺ praying, and you only saw the Prophet praying through the Hadith. That's how we see things in 2017. Or you could actually physically see the Prophet's prayer through the isnad, as we just said, the chain. Your teacher who learned from a teacher, 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 back to the Sahaba, to the Prophet ﷺ, and it was passed down accurately. It was passed down what? Accurately, without foreign influence. Foreign influence with regards to how to make the salah, how to raise the hands when you make dua, like this, like that. Everybody understand this? So these are two ways that you look into what? The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. You can actually see what the Prophet did. Through the hadith, those are clear and explicit. And through the pedigree, as we said, the what? The lineage, the sanad. Alright? So therefore, bid the subhanahu wa ta'ala, pray as the Prophet ﷺ prayed to the best of your ability. If you have to use one hand, you can't raise both hands, you have to do this. The Prophet, he carried the baby as well. And he placed the baby on the ground, and he lifted the baby up. So, bidna, do whatever you can by Allah's permission. If it's an issue that is from the arkan of the salah, the pillars of the prayer, such as as-sujood ala al-a'da' sab'ah, making the sujood, prostrating on the 7 parts of your body. That's not the same as something that's recommended, such as raising the hands. That's not like something that's recommended as putting the hands on the knees and ruku'. That's not like something that's recommended as straightening the elbows, locking the elbows. A mistake that many people they do. When they make ruku', their elbows are bent. Everybody understand this? The elbows should be locked. Al-Muhim is that there's a difference between that which is mandatory in the salah and that which is what? Recommended. That which is mandatory in the salah, that which is a staple part of the salah, try your best to do it even when you have a baby. Even if you have to slow down a little bit, delay the action a little bit, be a little behind the imam just a bit when he moves. As far as that which is recommended, and it's a difficulty with the baby, la haraj. There's nothing wrong with that. Take care of the baby. It is not obligatory. It's from the perfection of the salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.
It says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Initials TS. It said the profession of the Prophet.
From where?
I didn't mention.
So you got to mention where you're from. Next question.
MC, New Jersey. For Umrah, is standing and drinking Zam Zam and make a dua authentic to the Sunnah as part of the Umrah?
Question says, standing, drinking Zam Zam when making Umrah, is it from the authentic Sunnah? It is something the people of knowledge say is recommended to do. That is narrated that the Prophet ﷺ, he took water from the Zam Zam well and he drank the water until his belly became full. So therefore, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he did this, and he told the people to make the Hajj, to make the Umrah, as though he did it, in the manner in which he did it. So if you have the ability to do so, it's not too crowded. One may be tired, one may be fatigued, one may not have the ability to do it. It's not from the necessary things of the Hajj and the Umrah. It's not from the things that are from the arkan, the shurut, the wajibat of tawaf, of sa'i, etc. So bidna ta'ala, try your best to do it as the Prophet ﷺ did it. If there's a difficulty, if there's a hardship, you can't reach it, you want to lose your company, your group, your mahram, whatever the case may be, la haraj. If you do have the ability to do it, then inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should what? You should do it. As it's mentioned in the hadith that have been narrated, that the Messenger of Allah, he drank from the Zam Zam water, standing up. The hadith of Anas ibn Malik in Sahih Muslim, and hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib in Muslim Imam Ahmad, and many other hadith regarding the drinking of the Zam Zam and the using of the Zam Zam water. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
FS from Toronto, Canada. It said if someone owns land in which there's no income being made from it, is zakat due on it?
Question says, FS from Toronto, someone owns land. The rest of the question is
zakat due on it?
They own land, is the zakat due on it?
And there's no income.
There's no income type. We say it depends on what type of land it is. And what's meant by income coming in. Is it property that is specific to you? You own the property, whether you live there or not. Do you plan to rent out the property? Is it being used for commercial gain, even if you're not making no money on it at the current time? So it depends. In general, bidnillahi ta'ala, if you own the house yourself, even though you don't stay in it, but it's your property, you're not selling it, you're not renting it, then there's no sadaqah that is due. Then there's no zakat. That's what meant here, that is due. As far as if you're renting out the property, then the people of knowledge, they have different views on building that is being rented out. Some of them may say there's no zakat, period, at all. Others may say that the zakat is due on the building. Others may say that the zakat is due on the rent, on the actual rent. Everybody understand this? Al-Muhim is that if it's your own personal possession or property, then there is no zakat that is due. As the Prophet ﷺ has explained to us, that the believer has no sadaqah, the authentic hadith, no zakah upon him regarding his horse and other things that he possesses. So the people of knowledge, they say that possessions are of two types. Possessions that are commercial and possessions that are personal. Urud al-tijara or urud al-qinya. Tijara is commerce, buying, selling, renting, making money. And the second type of possessions are those that are your possessions, that I'm not making any commercial income off of. It's just mine. A house, a horse, a car, a boat, a yacht, and the list goes on. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Initials AW, Brooklyn, New York. The profession of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How can we apply it?
What are your initials, Yahi? AW or Truth Seeker?
I didn't put that in there.
First one was TS.
Yeah.
Correct.
Where's AW at?
Allahu Akbar.
He put that in
Tahib.
there. Okay.
Next question.
SS Portsmouth. Is it permissible to pray in a Bellevue mosque?
Say that again. Brailawi?
Yeah.
Tahib. Is it permissible to pray in a Brailawi mosque? We say it has to be detailed. Is there a grave in this mosque or this masjid? If there is a grave in this masjid, whoever the grave belongs to, someone righteous, someone wicked, a grave. In the beginning, the entrance, the right, the left, the middle, above, below. If it's in the musalla, if it's in the masjid, then it's totally impermissible to make salah in that masjid, period. Everybody understand this? And the proof of this is what the Prophet ﷺ said regarding the curse upon those who take the graves of the prophets and of the righteous as masajid. So the ulama, they say, li'umum al-la'n, the generality of the Prophet's curse. He cursed the Jews, he cursed the Christians, he cursed those who imitate them and making the graves of the righteous, the graves of the prophets as musalla, as masjid. So therefore they say, because this is something as mughallav, it's so strict, it's so severe, that the Prophet cursed them and those who did it, then the prayer is going to be invalid and totally null. So therefore, if the grave is in the masjid, Brailawi, or any other group or schism of Islamic groups, Muslim groups, then you cannot make salah in that place, period, at all. And Al-Hafidh ibn Qayyim explained in detail that the grave and the mosque is like water and oil. He says they don't mix. They don't mix. They don't get along. There's no salah in grave, period, in Islam. Mutlaqan. With the slight exception to making the salat al-janazah at the graveyard and the exceptions pertaining to that. If that's not the case, there is no salah and there is no qabr. They don't go together in Islam. So therefore, any masjid, Braylawi or not, if there's a grave in the masjid, you can't pray in there, period. As far as if there isn't a grave, then it depends on what salat you're making in that masjid. Are you praying behind someone who's Braylawi, quote unquote? Or are you making your own jama'ah? Or are you praying by yourself? If you're praying behind someone of Braylawi or this group or that group, and their principles, the principles of their creed is of polytheism, of shirk, of calling upon other than Allah, calling upon the saints, calling upon the ancestors, calling upon the spirits, then that's shirk and kufr akbar. And you cannot pray behind a person like that, because that aqidah takes that person out the fold of Islam. As far as if they just have bid'ah, innovation, they're against the sunnah, and what they do, what they say, some of the principles of their dawah, of their creed is mukhalaf to the sunnah, then they are still Muslims. It is permissible to pray behind them. As far as if you're going to pray by yourself, then that's clear. Praying with your own jama'ah, then that's what? That is clear. Last but not least, my advice is that if you're going somewhere as a road stop, you're stopping because you have to pray, that's one thing. If it's your local masjid, then that's a different story. If you can help somebody, guide them, call them to the sunnah, that's one thing. If they're staunch, if they're stubborn, if they're obstinate, they don't care, they don't want to hear whatever you have to say, then avoid the situation. And you can pray about another masjid 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away, do that. It's better for you, it's better for your deen, it's better for your akhlaq, it's better for yourself to avoid the conflict and avoid the clash if they're staunch upon their innovation. As far as if they're ignorant, like many Muslims are, if not most of them, they're just following their grandfathers. They don't have a clue. They don't know. They haven't read and studied anything. They're just respecting their ancestors and their culture. And you can sit down and talk with someone, even if it's giving a book to the imam. I don't know Arabic. I'm not learned. You are. Braylawi or not. You studied. You learned the Quran. This is a book that I read. Perhaps it may guide him. Perhaps his heart may be touched. And if that's not the case, then avoid this situation. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Initials J.I. from the UK. Assalamu alaikum. Is there a specified distance a female can travel without a mahram? Or should she remain in the household?
As far as tafadhal,
and what is meant by the hadith in which a woman should not travel without a mahram? Barakallah feekum.
wa fikum barakallah. Is there a specific distance in which a woman cannot travel without a mahram? What is meant by the hadith that a woman should not travel without a mahram? We say first and foremost is one of the hadith disciple cliches and one of our quotes that we always repeat, and we just don't repeat. We don't say it just because we want to sound cool or hip or funny, but this is a real life principle. We say from one thing, you learn what? 10,000 things. Everybody understand this? The concept of mahram, traveling, how far, what distance, is going to be based off of another issue. Everybody understand this? And that is for a man to travel. When can you shorten your prayers? When can you break your fast? When can you combine the prayers? So on and so forth. What is considered traveling in Islam for a man? Let alone for a what? For a woman. Everybody understand this or not? Is there a specific distance? Is there a specific amount of days, nights, times? Is there a specific mode of travel? An airplane, you can't break your fast on an airplane because the air conditioning is comfortable. You're not in the sun. You're not on a donkey's back, a camel's back, jumping up and down in the desert, dying. So you have to keep your som. Everybody understand this? A train, a car, and the list goes on. So all of these issues, the people of knowledge, they have things over which they agree, or on which they agree, and then there are issues over which they differ with regards to safar, with regards to what is considered to be traveling. And in general, to summarize the long drawn-out issue, there are two main views of the people of knowledge. The first is by most of the fuqaha, and they say that it is muhaddad, al-masafa muhaddada. They say that the distance is restricted. Is restricted to that which is approximately 85 miles. As far as in the UK or other parts in the world, or 50 miles, excuse me, that's going to be approximately what? 75 kilometers? 75 kilometers from your hometown. From your hometown. So they say 75 to 85 kilometers, that distance is the distance of what? Traveling, of safar. Everybody understand this? And once you're traveling, all of the rulings of the traveler now apply to you. The permissibility of breaking the fast. The permissibility of shortening the prayers. The obligation of shortening the prayers. The permissibility of kada, so on and so forth. All of the rulings of the traveler now apply to you with regards to that distance of 80 kilometers. Everybody understand this? So that's the view of most of the fuqaha, and that view is obvious, going to be the safest view for the layman person to follow. Some of the people of knowledge, they say that the distance is not restricted. they say, is that whatever the people consider to be traveling is considered what? Traveling. Whether it's 50 miles, 80 kilometers, 10 miles, 20 miles, 100 miles, 90 miles, whatever the people customarily consider to be what? A travel, a road trip. Let me grab my bag, my passport. You give your wife and your kids a big hug, a long hug and kiss, because you may not come back. Everybody understand this? What they consider to be what? Traveling. Don't go by yourself. You can go to this part of the city by yourself, to this borough, to this state. You say, what? No, take somebody with you. So this is a view of some of the ulama. And perhaps a third view is that as soon as you leave your city, the gates of your city, and you have the intention of traveling, you've become a traveler. Even if it's 5 minutes outside of your city. You've left the border of your town, the toll booth, the bridge. Everybody understand this? And you have the intention of driving for a day or for half of a day. You didn't reach 50 miles yet, nor do the people consider this distance to be traveling. Everybody understand it's a difference of a second opinion now. But you have the intention of what? Reaching that distance of traveling. Everybody understand? So the ulama of Islam, they differ over these issues. We say that the general Muslim, the layman Muslim, is always follow that which is safest. And safety has several signs. The first sign of safety is the majority. It doesn't mean that the strongest view is that of the majority. But for the layman Muslim, that is a way of attaining what? Safety. Everybody clear on this? It doesn't mean that that's a qawl al-rajih. Just because عليه الجمهور. لكن احتياط للعامي, the general layman. Second thing is, safety always includes precaution. This includes what? It's padding. No one is saying that it has to be with this distance, but they're saying it doesn't apply until you reach that what? That distance. So that's protecting yourself. So bid'nillahi ta'ala, a woman takes the same ruling as the what? As the man. And what is and what isn't considered? Traveling. If you take the first view, then it's distance. If you take the second view, then there's no what? No distance. If you take the third view, it's based off of leaving the gates of your city, of your town. Everybody understand this or not? In the modern times, how does this apply? It says, إِذَا خَرَجَ عَنْ عُمْرَانَ الْبَلَدِ عُمْرَانَ الْمَدِينَ. Everybody understand this? And there are buildings everywhere. It's not like back in the day in which you would travel for a very, very, very long time and everything was flat. It was a total wasteland. There was no civilization until you got into the city. It was total forest or tundra or desert. Everybody understand this? That was back in the day. I'm outside of the city. Nowadays, there's buildings everywhere. There's rest stops, buildings everywhere. So a modern day translation of this concept would be a toll. For that method, a toll. Once you get past this, the part of the bridge, you have to pay a what? A toll. So not saying that every toll is traveling, but trying to make a point. Is that this would be one of the ways that you've considered to have left your what? Your city. You're leaving the gate. Everybody understand this? Method, for example, and different things like this. So therefore, the woman is going to follow the rulings of the man. First opinion, second opinion, or the what? Third opinion. Everybody clear on this or not? As far as what is meant by a woman not traveling, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that forbid a woman who believes in Allah in the last day to travel without a mahram. The hadith that talk about the impermissibility of a woman who believes in Allah in the last day, a man who believes in Allah in the last day to be secluded with a woman that he's not a mahram for, إِلَّا كَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ ثَالِثَهُمَا أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, except that the devil, Satan, will be their third. He'll be their chaperone. The chaperone is shaitan. What's meant by these hadiths, first and foremost, is that a woman who has taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to obey the commands of her Lord and those of His Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam. Just as we said at the MSA, Islam gave a status to a woman. Islam gave respect and honor to a woman that no other religion or way of life ever did and will ever do. And the same applies, the one who said that women have status and respect, he also said what? Legislation. He also made what? Legislation. Everybody clear on this or not? This is very important. Many people, they pick and they choose, they cherry pick. I'm not saying the question, but they cherry pick. Islam makes it mandatory for you to feed me, take care of me, and respect me. And Islam also says you have to obey your husband. The word obey. Everybody understand this? Many people today hear the word, what do you mean obey? What am I, some type of slave? Some type of dog? Some type of servant? Obey my husband in 2017 in New York City. Everybody understand? This is a reality. Many people, their brains are stained, by the feminist ideology. No doubt about that. Modern, progressive. No doubt about that. I don't have to obey anybody. I don't have to ask your permission to leave the house. I don't have to ask your permission to go somewhere. Well, okay, fine. The one who said don't beat women, the one who said respect women, treat women kindly, he also said do not allow no one into your husband's house unless he gives what? Permission. So you can't just take what you want and what? And this is all of the time it happens among women. They get happy at the concept of what Islam has done for women. But then they reject the other things that what Islam has also made a ruling for women. Everybody understand this or not? So the woman who believes in the law in the last day is to be obedient to her Lord. Everybody understand this? Just like the man who believes in the law in the last day is to be obedient to his Lord. It goes on both sides. So the Prophet says, do not travel unless there is a mahram with you. Unless there's a what? A mahram with you. The people of knowledge, they say, the wisdom behind this is respect of the woman. Safety of the woman. Everybody understand this? And a woman not to be disrespected, not to be harmed, not to be annoyed, no one to come her way, throw something her way. That will be a means of disobeying her Lord and dishonoring herself, dishonoring her family, and the list goes on. So they say this is from the wisdoms behind this hadith. It doesn't restrict the wisdoms to this, but these are from the wisdoms behind this what? This legislation not to travel by yourself. Everybody understand this? I'm not weak. I can defend myself. I have my own money. I'm not a fornicatress. I'm not going to just sleep with somebody just because I'm not with you. I'm responsible. I can travel myself. The airplane is safe. The airport is safe. There's cameras. It's 2017. We're not living in the wild, wild west anymore. Everybody understand this? Allah and His Messenger, they didn't what? They didn't say those things. But at the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He legislated things based off of wisdom. Is what? It's wisdom. And this is the reason why some of the people of knowledge held the view that if a woman can travel with the company of other righteous women, she doesn't need a mahram. And some of them may even say, if the road is safe, if it's a general respect, some of them may have said that she can travel what? By herself. Now, one person is going to say, this هذا قول يخالف النص الصريح. It's clearly going against the direct text. Everybody understand this? What the Prophet says, don't do it. Don't travel without a mahram. So from one aspect, it is. But from another aspect, it's going what? It's going along with the what? هذا هو the objective of the hadith. Don't travel by yourself without a mahram because someone may try to rape you, disrespect you. You may not make the salah on time. You may get weak. You may get afraid. You may get attacked. And the list goes on. The general rule is the sunnah is not something that we just use our minds with and play around with. It makes sense, doesn't make sense. We're slaves. I understand this? We're soldiers. Anyone who's ever been in the military or has ever dealt with someone who's in the military, they knows that the private, he does what? He takes orders. He said, we're not here to do the right thing. That's what he said, right? We're not here to what?
Do the right thing.
We're here to follow what? Follow orders. It's not my job to think. That's the one who's above me, and the politicians who make the war. Everybody understand this? And other soldiers, they may say, even though I'm not here to think, I'm just a private, I'm just a lieutenant, I'm just this and I'm that. However, I do have a brain. And I do have a soul and a heart. And what we're doing is immoral. This isn't right. Even if there's orders to do, but it's not what? It's not right. It's not right. So it can go what?
Both ways.
More than one way. The Prophet says, don't travel without a mahram. Don't travel without a what? Without a mahram. The road is safe. The sister is religious. She's pious. She's respectful. It's clear. No one is going to get harmed, inshallah. It could go what? And it's not necessarily for someone to say just disrespect and throw away in the sunnah. That's not necessarily the case. There lies no doubt that which is safest is for a woman to what? Avoid it. And only travel without a what? Without a mahram. However, there may be a time, there may be a situation in which she doesn't have a mahram. There may be a time, there may be a situation in which she needs to travel. Her mahram may be ignorant. He may be foolish. He may be oppressive. No, don't go there. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Some mahrams in this masjid and other masjids in New York City, all over the world, they let a woman go wherever she wants to go. My daughter, you can go to college, travel to Canada, go down south, go do this. But I want to go to a conference. I want to go learn. I want to go study. Say, no, you need a what? You need a mahram. Many people, they do this. They play around with the rules, and that's unfortunate. So therefore, in brief, that which is safest is not to travel unless you have a what? Mahram. As the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said himself. If you have a need or a necessity and a difficulty, you have to go somewhere, and it's safe, and you're with the company of another sister, some of the ulama of the past, they made it permissible for this to be done. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Hopefully that's clear.
Initial, this is Al-Alam Nur. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
From the UK. How can one reach the level of Siddiqiyya?
Siddiqiyya?
Yeah.
Right. Another question from the brothers and sisters in the UK. How does one reach the level of Siddiqiyya? The word Siddiq obviously coming from Sad, Dal, and a Qaf, has several different meanings and several different original concepts. From them is belief, faith, acceptance with the heart, even though the eyes may not see it, or the ears may not hear it, or it may not even enter into the brain and the comprehension of the mind. Faith, believe in it. Someone who's trustworthy told me, I believe in it and I accept it. Another concept of these three letters, obviously, is to tell the truth. Is to tell the what? To tell the truth. And another meaning of this word is to give charity. Is to be charitable, be kind. Everybody understand this? So I would say use all three of these elements within Allah. Be truthful with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Be honest with Allah. And be truthful with the what? With the people. Don't lie. Everybody understand this? As it states in some hadith, whether they're authentic or not, يطبع المؤمن على كل خصلة أو على كل شيء إلا الخيانة والكذب. This is the hadith that says that a believer, a believer could be prone, or a believer could do certain things except for lying and treachery. There's certain things that the believer just doesn't feel comfortable with what? Doing. Everybody paying attention? Everybody here? Everybody paying attention? Everybody understand this? So, the concept of lying, and for you to make telling a lie something that is you're totally allergic to. Totally allergic to. If you are always truthful and always honest with the people, with yourself, with Allah, bi'idhnillah, perhaps Allah will give you that level of Siddiq. And also faith. Anything, everything that's mentioned in the Kitab, in the Sunnah, mutawatir, ahad, mutashabih, muhkam, this, that, wafaq al-madhab, khalaf al-madhab, my culture, my custom, anything, mimma warada fil kitabi was sunnah, from the unseen of the future, unseen of the past, the jinn, the angels, the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثُمَّ اسْتَوَى عَلَى الْعَرْشِ. Allah rose above the arsh. يَنْزِلُ رَبُّنَا. Our Lord descends. Everybody understand this? وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. Allah is above all. How does Allah Azza wa Jal? Is He above the throne? He descends at night. Is the sky above Him? Is the arsh beneath Him? Was the arsh above Him before? These things don't even come into your mind, because you believe in it, you affirm in it. Allah says, ثُمَّ اسْتَوَى عَلَى الْعَرْشِ وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْأَعْلَى. Allah is the Most High. Everybody understand this? Mutawatir, ahad, it goes against my culture, it agrees with my culture, it goes against my culture, it subjugates women, it elevates women. Whatever is in the Kitab and in the Sunnah, you do what? You believe in it. Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he heard that the Prophet ﷺ, he traveled from Mecca to Jerusalem. And he went back, he came back in the same night. The people of Mecca, they laughed. Like, what is this buffoonery? What is this foolishness? What man is going to travel from Mecca to Jerusalem, back to Mecca, and be there in the morning time? It's impossible. He's a clear liar. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he did what? Muhammad said it, it's truth. How, when, what did he ride on? It's truth. He was a Siddiq. Everybody understand this? Last but not least is the concept of charity, of sadaqah. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he gave his money, he gave his money, he gave his money, and he gave his money more. So much so that the Prophet ﷺ says, no one has a bigger favor over me, a bigger right. I'm not in debt to anyone like the debt I'm into, to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Everybody understand this? And he gave all of his wealth, and he asked him, what have you left for your family? He says, I've left for my family Allah and His apostle. That's it. Allah is going to take care of them. Everybody understand this? So this is how he reached this level of Siddiq. So be truthful, believe, accept, and be pious with your wealth, be generous with your wealth. Perhaps Allah Azza wa Jalla will give you that status. What is important is intend to do good. That's it. Do that which is mandatory, avoid that which is haram, stay away from that which is disliked, perform that which is recommended, and you just focus. Allah making you a Siddiq, making you a Shaheed, this and that, you can hope for those things. You can ask for those things. You have to put forth the necessary effort for those things, no doubt. But you just make sure you do your duty. Do your duty. Do your job. And as one of the great scholars of the past said, it is not important that you reach the finish line. He says what is important is that you die on the path. You die in the race. That you don't quit. You pass out, you fall out in the race. It's not important that you be the first person to break that ribbon. That's it. Don't quit. Don't give up. You keep striving. وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى Allah says, until yaqeen comes to you. Until death comes to you. Worship your Lord until what? Death comes to you. When is death going to come? Tomorrow, next week, next month. What did the mushrikun say? مَتَى هَذَا الْفَتْحِ? When is this triumph coming? When is Mecca going to be opened up? When are the Muslims going to be strong? I don't know. Madri. When is the last hour going to be? The Prophet was commanded to be saying what? My Lord knows best. I don't know. What's important is I'm a messenger, I'm a prophet, and I'm going to keep what? Teaching until that time comes. Very important concept. And many Muslims, they become bewildered with these things. Seeking ilm. When will I reach the status of a sheikh? When will I reach the status of this? Just keep studying. Keep reading. Keep memorizing. Just stay on the path. Don't focus on, am I going to get there in my lifetime? Is my dog going to be accepted? Just do what? Put the stuff out. Well, we have to do this and more people. We need more people. We need more people. We need more followers. We need the website. Perhaps, maybe we do, maybe we don't. But what we're going to keep doing is doing what? Putting out more videos. Putting out more stuff. Who accepts it? How many views? That's not in our what? It's not in our hands. Nor is it from wisdom to be focused and concerned with this. How many people are following you? How many people are subscribed to you? You just keep doing what? You do your duty. Wallahu alam. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Two from you, Sheikh.
Could you talk about, like what you were just speaking on, could you elaborate on perfection? Because a lot of times, a lot of Muslims, in general, they always want to try to be like they're perfect. So, again, people, they say, I won't do that until I can do it perfectly, and then they end up doing nothing at all. So could you elaborate what Islam says about that?
Islam says about that. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. We got to stop here. No more time. Inshallah, after the event, Sheikh. No more time, Sheikh. After the event, inshallah.
After you're done, Sheikh. After you're done, Sheikh. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح
After we finish, inshallah. Yeah, when you're done.
حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله
Tunisian frankincense?
No.
لا إله إلا
Tunisian frankincense?
الله
Majmua. It's not Tunisian.
I get it. Wasn't too bad though.
Yeah.
Wasn't off too far.
There you go.
Wasn't light years. Tight. Three minutes? Tight. 3 minutes, inshallah. Musa alayhi salam, when he killed that man, and he made that act, he felt a great amount of regret. And after he did that, he said the following words. إِنَّ هَذَا مِنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ. He says, this is from the handiwork of Satan. This is what I've done, killing this man, whether I was right or wrong, is what Shaitan, his hands put forth. إِنَّهُ عَدُوٌ مُضِلٌ مُبِينٌ. He said 3 things about Satan. Number 1, he's an enemy. Mudil, who misleads. Mubin, and it's plain and it's open. So a Muslim who realizes this about his enemy, number 1, first and foremost, is that he is an enemy. The Shaitan is not my friend. He's not my companion. He's not someone I can take lightly. He's someone who is an enemy. He's an adversary. He wants to kill me. And he won't stop at anything to what? To take my life, my soul. Everybody clear on this? Number 2, not only is he an enemy, but he's misleading. He's a trickster. He's sly, he's slick. He has game, as we say. Everybody understand this? And last but not least, it isn't something that's hidden. It isn't something that you have to research and discover. You have to be a scholar, a student of knowledge. Mubin. It's plain that the shaitan doesn't want any good for you. So if the Muslim realizes this about the shaitan, he's not ever going to think like this, let alone say something like that. I'm not going to pray in Jama'ah until I perfect. Or some Muslims in the Prophet in the city, they would say, I know the beard is mandatory. Wallahi, in cabs, people said things like this. I know the beard is mandatory. I know that it's haram to shave, but I can't grow my beard yet until I stop doing this. I can't grow my beard unless I have knowledge, because once I grow my beard, everyone in my tribe is going to think that I'm a sheikh. And I'm not a sheikh, and I don't have any knowledge. I can't do that which is mandatory until I do this, and I get rid of that, and so on and so forth. These people, they haven't pondered upon this ayah. These statements, this concept is from shaitan and his enmity towards you, his misleading of you, and the clarity of the things that we just mentioned. So you can't talk like that if you're a Muslim. You have to strive for what? Perfection, as we said. Striving for what? For perfection. It's just that simple. Muslim has to strive for what? ثُمَّ السَّقِيمُ. The Prophet says, قُلْ أَمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ. Say I believe in Allah, then strive for perfection. Work. Everybody understand this? Wallahu a'lam.
One small question, please.
After Salat, Sheikh, I got you. You can ask now, but it can't be on, huh?
Okay.
We run out of time.
Okay.
Airtime is no more.
No more.
Fadl, Sheikh, go ahead. I'm all ears.
Okay. Now this question is